we said we're trying to hide that we are activists. We are, let's just say out there, we are activist entrepreneurs. It allowed us to own our reality.
I mean, it is still so many households which are not practicing it, but it is so important. So my child was growing up on cloth diaper. Only when I moved to Bangalore, I saw rest of the people in the apartment using disposable diapers. So I started talking to them and saying, I use cloth diaper. Why don't you try it? And then everybody said, okay, we are not going back in time.
Sometimes it is lack of awareness also. People want to do it. It is not that they don't want to do it.
Now we see big brands trying to say, can we do small influencers, and many of them, they are more believable. We had those from day one, right?
Very few companies which I have visited have shown that they are no bribe company, and you are one of them. You won't survive in this business.
Hi ladies, welcome to Women Speak. Whenever we talk about startups, we think about revenues, market share, valuation, competition, growth. But are businesses just about that? Is it possible to run a sustainable yet growth business which provides profitability in the long run, but at the same time is under the radar? Today we have three stellar women joining us. Malini Parmar, an IIM Calcutta alumnus with more than 25 years of work across industries, IT, BPO, sustainability, and she runs an organization called Stone Soup, which works towards providing menstruation products to women, creating self-help groups, working on solid waste management, composting, and much more. Rupal Ralph, a criminal lawyer turned environmentalist who works passionately on solid waste management, plastic ban, and waste segregation. Bhavna Bhargav, a dentist turned green warrior who is passionate about sustainable menstruation, organic terrace, and composting. Yesterday only, I was talking to Malini, and we were talking, and she told me about a very interesting concept. She said that there are two kinds of businesses, Surbhi. One is a unicorn and the other are zebras. Unicorns are these mythical creatures chasing $1 billion valuation, success at the cost of anything, which are looking for rapid growth, competition, disruption of the market. Whereas we believe in zebras. Zebras offer sustainable growth. They are slower to perform, but they provide a more sustainable growth path. Zebras are more black and white, which means they value ethics more in their business values, as well as providing a sustainable path for the business to run. So let's find out from these three ladies, how have they built this zebra and what is more to it. So we have three stellar women here with us. Welcome to the podcast, Malini, Rupal, and Bhavna. Thank you for
you.
Thank you.
So let's start there and ask Malini, the founder of Stone Soup. How did you go about building this zebra? And, tell us about the journey of Stone Soup.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here. So I think I can say we're all accidental entrepreneurs. So none of us started out to be an entrepreneur. We were trying to solve problem in our immediate neighborhood. We wanted a clean environment for our children. So what I say is we were all part of the Garbage Sisterhood, which is a pan-India group, So you have garbage sisters everywhere today. Trying to get our communities to do the right thing, trying to do the right thing in our homes, to realize that it cannot be just one person. When you segregate, everyone has to segregate, and then trying to see where it goes. Is it going to responsible destinations? And we literally all met in garbage, right? So as part of the Garbage Sisterhood, where I was in Bellandur, there were 15 of us who used to work together. We felt we were talking to manufacturers, we were talking to people and saying, this is what you need to change the product. You need to get something cheaper. You need to get something better. This stem in the cup is causing too many issues. Can you remove it? And when people want changing, we felt we should put our money where our mouth was. And Stone Soup was born. The name came from one of the ladies in the group who was a filmmaker. she said the name should reflect our story. And I don't know if you remember the children's story of the stone soup, right? So there are travelers. We always say the travelers are women. So the women travelers, they reach a village. When they reach a village in olden times, they would ask the village to give them something to eat. So they went to the first house and they said, oh, we don't have enough to eat. The situation is bad here. We just have one cauliflower which we'll cook and eat. They went to the next one. They said, we just have some beans. Next one had some carrots. Next one didn't even have any vegetable. They said, we just have coriander. Somebody had just salt. So they went around in the village and they realized nobody had enough to eat. Forget feeding other people. So they went to a stream, and every village would have a water source or a stream. So they picked up nice big stones, put a lot of water in their pot and put a fire out. So suddenly somebody from the village came and saw and he said, what are you doing? We're making stone soup. So they said, very interesting. Will you share it with us? They said, of course. Can I also get somebody in my family along, my wife along? They said, of course. So before you knew it, the whole village was sitting around that fire. So the traveler, the lady, she tasted the soup and said, oh, it's missing a cauliflower. You have a cauliflower, can you get it? And of course, so the person ran, got cauliflower. Then somebody got beans and carrots and coriander, and there was something nourishing which nourished the travelers as well as the residents in that village. That's what we want to do. We want to build a fabric that nourishes us, but also the society we live in. And we felt it just suited us so right.
So that's a beautiful story. Then how did you go about, thinking about what products to launch? And was it like a community development effort in the beginning, or did you launch with the products of, you do a lot of work in female menstruation, composting, organic and herbal personal care items. So how did the product journey start?
So like I say, we were all garbage sisterhood. So what we want to do is...
So is this garbage sisterhood, sorry to interrupt, a WhatsApp group or like a Facebook group, or are you just calling it that?
It's a myth. It's like a collective, right? So in Delhi, if I look at it in NCR, there's the NCR Waste Matters. So those are the ladies who are running it there. In Bangalore, we have SWMRT, we have Bangalore Eco Team. In Mumbai,
so
there is a
group of different teams who are working towards.
Yeah, so what we really believe in something called community commons knowledge. So the segregation guidelines to bin one bag, it literally started in Bellandur, right?
Yes.
But today, pan-India people have implemented it.
Yeah.
I remember being asked that question, we used to say we very proudly created Kasamukta Bellandur and the pamphlet should have our name. He said, do you want your name or do you want it to spread? And we said, we want it to spread. So all of us were volunteers with no money. So anybody would call us and we would say, yes, we can help you. They said, great, can you come tomorrow and do things here? They said, no, we can't come. We will give you guidelines. You implement in your neighborhood. You make the change and we are here to guide you, support you, give you references where to buy things. And that's how, a nationwide movement was born around waste.
I know because I live in Bellandur and I have stayed there for the last 10 years. I think 10 years ago itself, we started the waste segregation in our apartment. And I think our apartment was also one of the first ones doing the waste segregation, because even in my parents' house in Delhi today, they are not practicing waste segregation yet. And it is still so many households which are not practicing it, but it is so important because it, helps to recycle so much of the plastic and, paper waste that comes into the households today.
Forget the plastics for a second because everyone focuses on plastics. In India, 60 to 75% of our waste is organic waste.
Yeah, there's an internal composting in our apartment.
Yes. So if you can just recycle it, at source, 60% of your waste is gone. You just shrink it. And when you have a cardboard which doesn't have a dal or a sambar on it, it's more likely it'll get recycled.
Yeah.
So you rescue the rest.
Yes.
And then there's the dirtiest part of waste, which is your sanitary pads. We saw them in ducts. We saw
Yeah, that's a problem.
diapers. Somebody picked up a diaper bag and somebody tied and thrown, and they wanted to check what's inside the bag. And when they opened it, they just puked the waste picking. We felt really heartbroken. I think it's the dirtiest part of waste. And we look both east and west, right? In east, we've used traditional cloth. In west, there is menstrual cups, which were discovered in 1940. We said, can we make both popular? We don't have to tell them either this or that. Both are sustainable choices. Compostable pads are not. So we would pick choices. Period panties are sustainable choices. So whatever is sustainable, we were promoting it. So even before we formed the company, we supported around 21,000 odd women to transition to menstrual cups or cloth pads. And it's something which we all live, right?
Yeah. And it's a long period in every woman's life. So the amount of waste that gets generated at an individual level is...
Yeah, and your zero waste journey starts with segregation. Like when you're talking about wet waste, you compost. Dry waste, when you segregate, you know what all you can eliminate from the dry waste, right? One Harpic bottle, I see 2 Harpic bottles in my place, and I just think, can't I eliminate this in next 1 month? I eliminate it. It takes a little longer. It took me around 5 years around to get zero waste at home. But slowly shampoo bottles got eliminated, Harpic bottles got eliminated. All this one at a time, if you eliminate, you reach to a zero waste lifestyle. It's a slow and steady race, but you definitely win once you start segregating and scrutinizing your dry waste also.
Yeah. So now coming to the two of you, from a medical dental background and a criminal lawyer background, what was your epiphanic moment, which made you switch careers and move to a sustainable career path? So what happened and what's your journey made?
So I was a criminal lawyer by profession, and I was on a mommy break. And after that I met Malini. Then when I started being a Sathi with Stone Soup, that's where I left the other job and started full-time working with Stone Soup. And that was my journey. And in between I had my husband suffered from cancer. We found out a few things which are really, it was scary that using a disposable cup with a cigarette or, is causing a cancer. Having a tea in that disposable paper cups is what we say. All those things were likely to have malignant cancer. So that's how we totally changed our lifestyle, because this was a very crucial part of our life where we learned how to go zero waste with our homes.
I think any big change starts from self.
Yeah.
Mostly, you go through a personal milestone or some event in your life which then pushes you to do something new.
And it was for a bigger cause, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. So I was practicing as a dentist before I moved to Bangalore. When I moved to Bangalore, I was a young mom and I had a child. I had not seen disposable diapers till then. So my child was growing up on cloth diaper. Only when I moved to Bangalore, I saw rest of the people in the apartment using disposable diapers, and I'm very sensitive to smell. So I started talking to them and saying, I use cloth diaper. Why don't you try it? Because, they're not smelly and not, and are very eco-conscious. And then everybody said, okay, we are not going back in time. Cloth diapers were the ones that people used to use earlier. We don't want to do that. I had a very close friend to whom I used to go for, understanding about birding, about composting, because she was doing composting. And then she said that, there's waste segregation that we are starting in Bangalore. Would you like to volunteer and come with me? So me and her, we went door to door, spoke to all the residents, distributed the 2-in-1 bag kit. And that's where my journey started with the waste segregation. So then in 2017, I formally joined Stone Soup, and we started doing formal sessions as a part of Stone Soup, going to the institutions, going to the companies, going to different apartments and, bringing in more awareness about these products. So amazing. Again, it's the personal drive to change things.
Yeah.
Which then becomes a larger cause for the society.
Yes.
So how do you let people get out of the fear of it?
So luckily, we are the hub of volunteers. Again, in Bangalore, we have hundreds of volunteers, thousands of volunteers working. So when you hear a session, when you hear from your friend, that fear of insertion slowly goes away, right? I took 6 months to shift. Even with a volunteer, I took 6 months to shift. But once that dar ke aage jeet hai, no? That statement is too true, so true. Dar ke aage jeet hai.
So yesterday you were telling me about your Shark Tank story and how you went for Shark Tank season 1, but you were never aired. So what is the story behind that, and why were you not aired?
Yeah, I think out of all the companies that they got, there were only 3, 4 or 5 who were not aired. We were one of them. So we thought, okay, we didn't get the money, but at least we'll get the air, we'll get the airtime. It'll help build awareness. But we didn't even get that. And, 5 minutes into the Shark Tank. Actually, let me take a step back. Before we went to Shark Tank, we had been trying to raise funding. And we tried various hard, and every time we kind of got the feedback that we come across more like activists than business people. So we said, this time we have to make sure we got our friends. Of course, my brother who lives in US, he also do it. We won't listen to these women, they're activists themselves, right? But we got people from other industries to come and listen to our pitch so that
We don't sound like
we
actors.
don't sound like activists. Then we go to Shark Tank, and Sony had an amazing team. So they heard us first round pitches after we've scrubbed and cleaned up and everything. And they said, you're too much activist. But then they helped clean up and, remove all the activism. And so we made a pitch. After the pitch, I think one of the sharks, Anupam or somebody, asked, what does the Stone Soup name come from? So we told the Stone Soup story. He immediately said, "Ab activist types हमें बहुत डर लगता है. I'm out." Then we fought with another shark on. She said, "I've invested in compostable pads." We said, "What a terrible idea it is! It is not environmental friendly." And we were destroyed when we, it was one of the lowest points. We felt nobody would fund us. I think it also, Smita, we've talked about her, she was the co-founder. She left. She couldn't take it, I feel like. So what did we do? We said, we're trying to hide that we're activists. We are, let's just say out there, we are activist entrepreneurs. Sorry, I'm like tearing up. It was actually wonderful because it allowed us to own our reality. Sorry. No, I don't need tissue. And it's disposable. I'm going to use my. Sorry. What is the sari meant for? Saris and dupattas, no? Yeah. No, sorry about that. So, yeah, I mean, it was also one of the most liberating times because we said, we're not going to try and pretend that we are going to compete with this and that company and they've got 100 crores, they've got 25 crores, somebody's got 6 crores and we've got 0 crore funding. Big deal. We're not trying to capture market share. What we're trying to do is bring change. So what is, if in this space, what is the next thing we want to do? And for us, that's when we went and did the whole pilot in Siddipet and said, can we convert the whole block? Can we convert the whole city? And it took us on a different trajectory.
I think sometimes embracing that part about yourself which you've been trying to push away or hide under the carpet opens up an entire new world of opportunities. makes you look back and think कि मुझे तो ये चाहिए ही नहीं था, कि इसकी तो मुझे ज़रूरत ही नहीं थी.
So I think what makes all of us happy is the impact that we are creating. We are not chasing the top line, but we are chasing the impact that we want to create, that we want to.
I think that is the toppest line.
Yes. So that is where we,
That is the ozone layer of everything.
yes, those are the factors we want to measure our growth, measure ourselves with. So that's very different from what the industry or the society.
NGO work और community development work is all voluntary work, कि सब लोग free में करते हैं. But you guys are proving that that's not true.
Yeah.
And that it's possible to do it and provide a livelihood to so many people along the way.
ऐसा भी नहीं है कि हर बार फ्री में ही होता है. NGOs भी उनको भी चलाना है, NGO चलाना है, उनके अंडर में जो काम करें उनको भी तो घर चलाना है. तो इट्स नॉट ऑलवेज कि सब कुछ फ्री में होता है. सर्विसेज हैं बट इट्स नॉट ऑलवेज फ्री. वी ऑल्सो नीड टू रन ऑन.
I know every organization needs to pay rent, electricity, internet, all those charges. I find the hiring in the people part the most heartbreaking part of this whole business. I've seen people who've been really committed, who were amazing, who could have made us reach our destination that much faster when they leave. Because they need a better paying job, because they need to, their house will not run in this. Because they can't afford to, they literally can't afford to do this work. And that's the really tough part. So most companies will lose because somebody was getting slightly better salary. For us, it's like somebody whom we're paying. A lot of times people come to us, we're paying them 10, 15, 8K as interns, and then when they literally leave at 25, but when they go out, they're getting 50 and 80,000, and we just can't afford it. So, yeah, I wish, things were different. Hopefully, we'll be an industry and we'll have better wages and paying conditions, and, community is not fighting why they should pay 100 rupees per month for their waste management.
You spoke about digital media and online presence before also. But do you also use that for crowdfunding, for fundraising, reaching out and figuring out who can be an investor for your company?
So a lot of times we've had companies who've reached out to us and saying they would want to fund a program with us because they've seen a LinkedIn post from us. So for, to let people know what we are doing, kind of programs that we do. Even when we reach out to them, a lot of them know us because we're posting our information there. So that's really, really critical for us in the trust. That's one. The other is when we do any activity, people on social media reach out to us and saying, okay, you're doing this, can you come and do it in my area? I can't do it, but we can help you. Our now proven methodology. How we can get the change faster, right? So we can help you. So like somebody in Dodapur had called yesterday and they want to know waste management. They didn't know where to start. We said, we'll tell you how to start, where to start, this is the HR policy, this is this policy, this is that policy. So we literally created toolkits. So that anybody who's following, it's easy for them to do it. They say your network is your net worth. So unless you are present on all these social media handles, putting out what you're doing and letting your network know, you're not doing justice to your brand.
Do you think digital and social media presence is important for that because it gives you a larger reach than going from door to door? And how do you integrate that and build that out in your business today?
I think social media is absolutely important. It increases your reach by multifold. And you are able to convey the message to many more people. If we were to talk through an offline store, we may reach out to just 1% of the population, but through social media, you don't have any borders. You can reach out globally to, so many people. During COVID times when we started helping the weavers and we wanted to sell their saris, we put them up on our website. And we thought we'll just help the weavers and sell them, locally through our friends. So we sent WhatsApp messages. But a lot of orders came from abroad, a lot of orders came from US, Australia and all. So what we sent on social media, on WhatsApp to our friends, actually reached out globally to people, and we could help out weavers and their stock was sold. So social media it's a very, very powerful tool,
And how are you using it in Stone Soup to build awareness about the menstrual cup, about composting, resegregation, and all of the other wonderful things that you're doing?
Our YouTube channel is most popular. Even other brands have, are sending their customers to watch our videos. And most of the videos that we have done earlier, because we have been working since 2015 and a lot of awareness was needed at that moment of time. Now, since the market is little matured for menstrual cups and cloth pads, तब तो पता ही नहीं था किसी को menstrual cups क्या है.
हाँ,
तो जो वीडियोस बनी उस टाइम पे
हाँ.
उसके मिलियंस ऑफ व्यूज हैं. और वो क्यों? क्योंकि दूसरे ब्रांड्स के वीडियोस नहीं थे. वो सब हमारी वीडियोस पे आके ही उन्होंने अपना ब्रांड डेवलप किया.
जब हमने अपने प्रोडक्ट्स निकाले ना, एंड वी कि ये तो रिटेल स्टोर में जाएगा, कहाँ बेचें, एंड आई you look at our backgrounds, right? None of us had backgrounds कि कोई कुछ बेचा होगा, ऐसे रिटेल कस्टमर्स को, डायरेक्ट टू कंज्यूमर्स. तो हमने थोड़ी एडवाइस ली फ्रेंड से. उन्होंने बोला अच्छा यू कीप इन द स्टोर्स. एंड हमने जब स्टोर्स में प्रोडक्ट है, कोई नहीं खरीद रहा था. देयर वाज लिटरली नो सेल. एंड वहाँ पड़ा आफ्टर मंथ्स, क्या कभी चूहे ने खाया, कभी कुछ किया, वापस आ गया. एंड इट वाज देयर वाज लिटरली नो सेल्स इवन इन बिग स्टोर, बिकॉज हमारे जैसे प्रोडक्ट्स थे, they required some explanation, they required knowledge, why you should do it, how should you do it. So there was a full learning package that had to go with it. So it kind of, we developed what we call as a Sati model. So we were working with garbage volunteers, like I said, sister, across the country, right? We asked any one of them if they want to do these sessions, these awareness programs, which they were doing anyway. So we said, if you would also like to sell our products. I knew as a garbage volunteer, I wanted to sell the products because that's when I know the conversion has happened. If you've not bought the product, I can tell you 10 lectures on menstrual cup. But if you've not shifted, if you've not started using the product, then it's all a waste. So that's why we offered to them that you sell our products and we'll give you a part of the margins. So we created what was called mom entrepreneurs. Majority of the women majority were women, except one or two were men. But majority were women with young children. So mompreneurs, right? So we worked with a lot of them. They would go in their community, they would go to the schools, they would go to the communities around when they wanted to work and do these awareness sessions. And so we have a network of
Like a
Sati
network effect.
And multilink.
And they support, they do social media. So it's not just, you would think our
It's a cascading effect, like a
yeah,
ripple effect.
each one is now promoting and their networks know it. Now we see big brands trying to say, can we do small influencers, and many of them, they are more believable. We had those from day one, right?
Micro-influenced.
Micro-influencers.
So yesterday when I was talking to you, आपने बताया that you started as a for-profit company. Then along the way you switched to not-for-profit NGO, and then now you are balancing several business lines with different business goals. So tell us a story of about this, that from pivot from for-profit to not-for-profit, and what was the story behind that?
Actually, हमारा focus ना day one से और आज भी वही है. We want to see a zero waste world. है. So we said we want to do a zero waste world. So if you look at, क्योंकि dry waste में, thanks to big companies and EPR and all those, there is enough money going in. So we didn't tackle the plastic waste, so to say. we said, what is the largest component of waste? Which is the organic waste. So we built a separate product line and Bhavna heads that. So that's a for profit. Then we said the dirtiest part of waste, the waste which is your sanitary waste. And later we also realized when Bellandur Lake caught fire, it is our soaps and shampoos and the chemicals from there which is destroying our lakes, right? So that's when the personal care products came. They're harming the lake, but they're also harming our skin and our face and our lives, right? They cause cancer, they cause other issues. So that's the second business, which is Recce Personal Care. We said, okay, we're doing all this, but there is a large section which can't afford it. And there are people, companies with CSR funds, people who want to donate, but they want to see you registered as a non-profit. So we in non-profit do exactly what they do, but we do it for low-income areas. What we also do is do things which are pilot, first of its kind, work with state governments, work with communities like in Kanamangala. It's beautiful because the community and we have the elected representatives, the panchayat guys, everyone has come together and we're trying to create and say, can we manage 80% of our waste within the Gram Panchayat itself? If we are, that becomes a model, right? We are currently at 68%. So can you imagine with everyone wanting to, I am okay to manage my waste, you just take it away. People saying, no, we will manage our waste ourselves.
If you manage at the source, then it becomes much easier to manage at a macro level.
So that's what we do in non-profit. So whatever IPs they develop, we promptly go and give it to everyone for free.
If you look at it, our vision, our destination, we just start taking different directions to reach that.
But that's always been zero waste world, right?
Yes.
Has there been any pivot in that ever?
No. We're just taking a different route to reach there, but we are all on the same.
So you can tell us what sustainability steps you have taken for Mom Store.
Yeah.
So I've always been very, very conscious about the environment and the environmental impact that I'm having. Because we are not like a corporate setup ki ek food court hai to jaake kha liya. So, and my first condition to everyone I spoke to is कि मुझे प्लास्टिक वाली उसमें खाना नहीं चाहिए बिकॉज रोज वेस्ट भी जनरेट होगा, स्मेल भी आएगा और उसको कोई क्लीन भी नहीं करेगा एंड देन अदर प्रॉब्लम्स विल स्टार्ट. So I found this person who used to be a cook in our society. And I told him कि आप एक डब्बा सिस्टम शुरू करो और मेरे टीम के लिए you provide food. So he said कि अच्छा मुझे वो स्टील का बर्तन वो सब लेना पड़ेगा, वो आप मुझे फंडिंग दे दो. And then I gave that and he started packing food in these big steel dabbas and getting to office every day. So even today, our entire office lunch comes in these steel dabbas. Everybody eats, they all wash their own utensils, and the spare food we give to the staff who wants it, or we send it back and he distributes in the community. So it's like a complete no waste food model, which is something that
Amazing.
while in e-commerce, we cannot avoid a single-use plastic which covers the clothing garment because there's so much dust around that it will get dirty. We've tried a lot of ways where you can, but if you pack it in cloth bags, then the picking team can't identify what product is inside, so it increases the time.
No, and the dust still gets in. We've tried working with them, it just doesn't work.
Yes, it's a big challenge which we are still trying to solve. But as far as our store is concerned, we are a zero plastic store. So everything is displayed out as the garment is hanging. And we have these cloth bags which are manufactured from the waste fabrics which are left after cutting. And we create bags out of that. So with our manufacturers' help, they have given this work to an NGO which works with ladies who stitch these bags, and these are drawstring bags. So we use the waste products of our fabric cutting to make the bags, and any customer who walks in, we put the garment or whatever they've bought in the bag, and then we give.
So cool.
These are the kind of bags we make, and it's
Very cute bag.
Can be used as a laundry bag or
yes. So people tend to reuse it as like a sari bag. So these are the little initiatives that we are doing in the quest of being sustainable. So thank you so much, Malini, Rupal and Bhavna, for coming to the Women Speak podcast. It was absolutely amazing to speak to you. Our conversation is not ending, but the camera battery has ended. So we need to stop here and continue our conversation after. But thank you so much for coming and, sharing so much about your journeys and how you're building such a sustainable, beautiful company, Stone Soup. Thank you for calling us.
thank you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank
so
you.
much.